have Creighton here, head coach Jim Flannery, student athletes Jalen Agnew, Audrey Faber, Sydney Lamberty. Reminder first to please silence your phones. This is Glenn Sisk. He's the Creighton SID if you have any additional interviews after the press conference. And also, reminder for media to please wait for a microphone to ask questions. And Coach, we'll start with an opening statement from you about playing in the NCAA tournament.
Well, it was a long wait for us and a long week after our conference tournament being on the bubble, so we're obviously thrilled to be here. Iowa is a familiar opponent in that we've scrimmaged them every year in October, early November for the last 8 or 9 years. And we have a good relationship with their staff. In fact, about 20 months ago, I was recruiting in Chicago, and I had two assistant coaches with me. We were driving back from the gym after a long day of viewing basketball, and got into an accident on our way to our hotel, and I hit a cab. And I get out of my car, and in the back seat of the cab are Lisa Bluter and Jan Jensen, Iowa's head coach and associate head coach. So this will be another collision of Iowa and Creighton. Hopefully it turns out favorably for us. But just a great opportunity for us to get to come out here and play in this venue too. I think will be special. So. These three here will have a lot to do with how successful we are tomorrow, as will some other people. But great challenge. Iowa's a good team, but we know them pretty well, and they'll know us.
Any questions?
Does Iowa remind you of any team that you played against in the Big East?
No. Well, Megan Gustafson is obviously a tremendous low post player, and I think the Big East is I'd characterize it as more of a guard league. Not that we don't have good post players, but we'll have to defend a different level post player than what we've had to defend for the most part in our conference. So they are up and down. They like to play at a fast pace. And they've got good guards. Just because Gustafson gets a lot of attention doesn't mean they don't have other good players around her, but they're real efficient. But like I said, even though we maybe haven't played a team like them, we did play them in October, so we'll have some familiarity.
Any other questions?
How do you go about handling a player like Gustafson down at the post who's so dominant down there?
Well, what you guys got any ideas? Well, look, it's she and it's her teammates getting her the ball. I mean, they average 21.5 assists a game, which I think the last I checked was third in the country. So, you got to do a good job on the other kids too. And looking at her numbers, she actually averages more in their losses than she does in their wins. So you don't want to give some other kids too many opportunities to make threes or make plays. So we'll totally give some help here and there, and we've talked about places and showed our players places where we can give some help. But we also know that it isn't just about stopping her, because other teams have done, like I said, have done a poor job of stopping her and still winning the game. So. But she's a really good player, and they do a great job of putting her in position. I mean, the thing that's impressive to me about her is how often she scores the ball without a dribble. And that's obviously a credit to her. It's a credit to her teammates who put the ball in a situation where she can do that, and then you commend their coaching staff for putting them in a position where they, allow both of those things to happen.
Who are some of the guards on Iowa who you're going to have to worry about?
You want me to answer that, or Jalen? Jalen's going to. Okay. Well, Kathleen Doyle is I mean, they're a little bit point guardless. They'll let any of their guards handle the ball in transition, so they're not like, they don't have an exclusive point guard. But I would say Kathleen Doyle is the closest thing they have to that. She's a really good player. A kid out of Chicago that we tried to recruit. Really good all-around player. Puts it on the floor really well, and real competitive kid. And then, their shooters are Mackenzie Meyer and Alexis Civilian, and those two have when those two contribute and make threes, I think they're an even more dangerous team, which makes it makes it difficult to decide what you want to do. Do you want to give a little bit more help on Gustafson, or do you want to make sure that those two don't make threes and that Doyle doesn't get in the lane and make plays?
For any of the players, what did you learn from the scrimmage that might be helpful in tomorrow's game?
I think a huge thing was fast breaking. We need to be able to stop that, not let them get their outlet passes so far. And then also, stopping their post players, because, we don't see that every single day, and that's something that can hurt us.
Yeah, I think for sure just transition defense is going to be big, and then I think just getting more familiar with their faces, I think also is what the scrimmage helped with.
They pretty much said it all. Yeah, transition D, because like I said, we like to run, or they like to run, and so being able to stop that and stopping those easy buckets that they get.
Coach, what's your version of the auto accident in Chicago? Who hit whom?
Well, I thought it was primarily my fault, and I think it might have been. But then when I talked to, first of all, I made those guys walk the rest of the way to their hotel because their cab had enough damage that they had to get out of the cab and walk the rest of the way to their hotel. But then I talked to Coach Blitter the next morning, and she said that the cab driver was driving a lot faster than he should have been, and that there might have been a little bit more fault on his part than I thought at the time. But I was turning right, and one of my assistants said, "You can't turn right, it's a one-way." So I swerved back left, and that's when I hit the cab. So, and then the rest of the story is that we left to drive back to Omaha the next morning, and neither one of my assistant coaches would let me drive the rest of the way.
Jalen, let's get your thoughts on playing in the tournament in Los Angeles.
So we were really excited to come out to LA. I don't think anyone on our team, or very few people, have been to California, and so that's pretty exciting for us when we first heard that we were coming out here. And yeah, it's just a new scene for us, kind of, and it's kind of funny because I think I saw a tweet, and it said something about, why don't you guys just play halfway in Des Moines? But I think it's fun that we'll be able to come out. We are able to come out here and play them. For the scrimmage. So, like you said, we scrimmaged them preseason, and we stayed in Des Moines, and there's 8 of us, I think. And right before we had to leave, we got stuck in the elevator for a little over an hour. And so there's 7 players and a manager, and a couple of the players, we heard them out yelling between floors, "They're gonna come, they'll get you out." And I remember Jade, actually, she said, "Flannery is rattled." And so we had to be on our A game once we got out. So yeah, that's a pretty funny story.
We had to call Iowa and push the scrimmage back. They were on the elevator so long.
For any of the players or the coach, what tourist things, if any, have you managed to do in Southern California?
We went to Venice Beach last night as a team, kind of just walked around, just hung out for about an hour on the beach, and that's about it.